Hi, and welcome to a Sense of Wellness podcast, inspiring and empowering a healthier you. I'm your host, Susan Greene, and I'll be diving deeper into the 4 pillars of wellness: sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress management. Today, I'm discussing an aspect of exercise and fitness that motivates and inspires everyone, and that is music. My guest today, Russel Greene, is an entrepreneur, and he is the creator and CEO of Fit Radio, which is the go-to music fitness app, and it's the leading provider of commercial-free DJ workout mixes. Fit Radio has even become the #1 ranked music and fitness app in the Apple Store. Now, I know Russel works together with an elite team of industry professionals, coaches, and trainers, all of whom are passionate about providing their clients with an unparalleled workout experience. And that's all backed by thousands of world-class DJ mixes and specialized fitness programs. Russel also believes that, and I quote, "Getting the music choice right for one person is a science, but getting the music right for a group of people with very different tastes, well, that is an art." So Russel, I love this topic so much. Thank you for joining me today to talk about this art.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. Oh, great. So I know it's fabulous that you have built a business that combines your knowledge and experience and passion from 2 significant areas of your life: fitness and music. So tell us, how did you even get started in this industry, and what led you to the launch of Fit Radio?
Yeah, no, I think going back to my childhood, I've always been passionate about fitness. I was involved in sports as a kid, training at an early age. And one of my first jobs, I worked the front desk at Gold's Gym in my hometown. I'd have people come in and, they would ask for mix CDs. And I think at one point I was making 2 or 3 mixed CDs a day for people in the gym. And this is, I'm 16 years old at the time. I went to college. I graduated with a degree in exercise physiology from Georgia State. So kind of carried through with that passion. And I had every intention of going to physical therapy and potentially medical school. I did an internship at the CAB Medical Center in their cardiac rehab lab. And I was always very passionate about medicine and health. But I had a sort of a rare opportunity at a young age. I worked my way through college in my early 20s as a security guard at a nightclub. And as soon as I graduated college, they offered me the opportunity to run that nightclub. And part of that, we started booking massive DJs from Tiesto to Sasha to Pauly D and all these DJs all around the country. And people were like, "Hey, how do we get these DJ mixes so we can work out to them?" And that's kind of where the product was born. But going back, I've always been passionate both about music and about fitness. And, I think one of the interesting things now is we have the opportunity to kind of work with a lot of brand partners like Orange Theory and Burn Boot Camp to really sort of understand the correlation between music and fitness. And I think, especially a lot of our group exercise partners are really starting to appreciate all of the research and the work that we do into that curation. And just, in regards to how the classes are formatted to enhance that end experience for users. And there's obviously a lot of data, how music impacts exercise. The research is there. But I think, at its core, it just makes it a more enjoyable experience for the most part, right? I think you'll have elite marathon runners that don't listen to music. But for the most part, most people listen to either, some form of audio, whether it's podcasts or music, to help sort of take their mind to another place during exercise and make it a little bit more enjoyable. I didn't really plan it this way. It wasn't like I said, this is what I want to do, but it just, I kind of just followed my passions. Things just kind of aligned.
Mm-hmm. And doing what you love. Don't we all want to do that? That is the goal. No, that's an amazing background that it sort of did fall into your lap. In any case, I find it so fascinating, that correlation between fitness and music. And you alluded to science. I don't think most people are aware of that there is this science backing up how critical it is for us to move, how music supports that and our bodies. So how do you go about, tell us a little bit about the science or whatever comes to mind as far as pairing the right music with the right workout?
Yeah. So, specifically, I think just to simplify the research, higher BPMs can lead to increased or enhanced performance during exercise. I think, when we came on the scene several years back, and I don't know where this started, if it started with step aerobics instructors, maybe back in the 80s, but there were a lot of people in group fitness that were all using 130 beats per minute. And that was the standard. And everybody was using 130. And in many cases, they were using like 32 count, which is like the phrases of the actual bar. So it's 32 beats in a measure. And you still have a ton of like step aerobics that still use 130 beats per minute, 32 count. And we came in and we were like, why 130? And we talked to a lot of instructors, and there really wasn't a good answer other than that it was very easy for them to choreograph to. So what we found is that, using the research that's available, we've had the opportunity to survey over 7,000 members at some of our brand partners. And just what we find works the best is higher tempo. So maybe starting at 130, going up to 140, 150, and then 160 through a class. What that's going to do is it's going to increase the tempo throughout class, which there's science there that, around the fact that it can enhance your performance. But the other cool thing is if you play 130 for an entire hour, you're really only going to get one or maybe two genres of music. But if you go to 130, 140, 150, 160, you're going to be able to span multiple genres. And if you're running group exercise with a diverse member group, you have to touch on multiple genres, right? Like you can't just play hip hop. You can't just play rock. You can't just play top 40. So that's really important. And, like looking at back at my background in the, DJ scene, what a DJ does in a nightclub is essentially increase the odds that you're going to hear something you like, right? So there's a reason that DJs are playing songs for 2 minutes versus a full 3.5 minutes because they can only play for 2 hours, right? So they want to be able to have more opportunities to play a song that you may like. So the same thing in exercise, right? By taking that same structure, DJ style, we're playing a song for 2 minutes versus 3.5. We're going to be able to get more content. And then when we vary and increase the BPMs throughout the experience, we're going to be able to have a wider array of music. And, we've just seen it thousands of times, and it's what works best.
All of what you said is something that has never occurred to me ever. Honestly. And I think that's most people. We listen to music, we listen to our favorites, we exercise, we feel motivated. But I love hearing this aspect of it. And also just that experience working with DJs, working in a nightclub. So can you offer any tips to the audience about selecting the right playlist or the right type of music for specific workouts?
I mean, obviously personal preference has to play a big part, a big role in your selection. But I will say this, there's also some interesting research on, like a lot of people will use, let's say an Apple Music or Spotify playlist, and they know every song that's in the playlist, and they'll get tired of that over time because they know that song's coming up. There's actually a fair amount of research around being surprised by a song. So you can probably think of a moment where you've been to a party or a gathering and a song comes on and you're like, oh, I love this song. And you were completely surprised, right? And it's a different feeling than had you known that song was coming up. So I think the most important thing is mix it up, right? Keep your playlist fresh, which is something that we bring to the table, and making sure that you can create that element of surprise, right? And I think you should be open-minded. Everybody should be open-minded in music, because there are a lot of stigmas like, I like this type of music. And it's interesting because, Taylor Swift is an awesome example of somebody who, and I wouldn't consider myself a Swiftie by any means, but she does a phenomenal job of bringing in multiple different genres and all different styles of music to her fan base, introducing these different styles of music. And I think one of the things that we do on Straight Radio is if you like top 40, we're going to have a little bit of trap in there. And you may not know what that is, but the way that we mix that in, it'll work with that tempo and it'll be a new experience in a way that it makes sense with the tempo, whether you're going for a run and you want to run a 10-minute mile. We're going to put different style content in there that might be new to you, but also refreshing.
That's amazing. And I said that this is going to be very motivating for people and inspiring. I'm already more motivated. I mentioned to you that I went for a run this morning and I was kind of scrutinizing what I was listening to it and even the way I listened to it. So this is making so much sense because we have our go-tos, right? And you kind of stay in the same zone all the time without that element of surprise. And I think a lot of people have a hard time varying their own workout routines. And it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but using an unknown playlist is a great way to vary your routine, have an external motivator somehow.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there has to be an element of trust. You have to at least know I'm going into kind of the genre or kind of direction that I like. But I think regardless of where you go on Fit Radio, there's going to be content in a style that you've never heard before. So it's going to be all your favorite artists, but maybe in a way, there's going to be some things sprinkled in and maybe styles of music that you may not be exactly familiar with. But from what we've seen, that's usually a good thing.
Okay. Not knowing how the app is organized, do you have warm-ups and cool downs? Do you have it by activity type? Is there anything like that? Or is it?
Yeah. So we have warm-up, cool down. We have over 45 different genres. Again, we power thousands of gyms around the country. So if you're listening and you go to Orange Theory, Burn Boot Camp, you've been in LA Fitness, you've been in Lifetime. I mean, odds are good you've listened to Fit Radio at some point, just because we power a significant amount of the brands, especially in the US. But yes, we have spin classes. We have audio guided workouts. So if you're tired of going on the same run, we have coaches that can guide you through a 30-minute run. You could choose your style of music. We'll give you pace cues. We have different intensities of runs. So that's another really popular feature of Fit Radio that we don't probably talk about enough, is just the audio guided workouts and the ability to kind of change up your run, right? So instead of the run that you went on this morning, like, let's turn that into an interval run with varying levels of intensity. And let's pair that with a playlist that you haven't heard before, and just take that same experience and make it new, which is, the key to fitness and like establishing is like long term is finding ways to like vary it, make it fun so that you can, you find interest in it and stay intrigued over time.
That's exactly it. And I strive to do that with people, finding the activity that they actually enjoy. And you hit the nail on the head. It has to be fun. It has to be enjoyable, and include that element of surprise. That, like, so many light bulbs just went off for me when you mentioned the audio guided workout. I needed it this morning to push me through this very hot and humid run. So that's amazing. That's so valuable for all of our listeners and for anybody who really struggles with that, just changing and varying their own workout routines all the time. And I'm wondering now, if not to make this about my exercise, but I recently started going to hot yoga, and I love the music that's included. And I'll come out of a hot yoga session and I'll actually go and search up songs that I heard, because it like brought up songs that I love from the past or new things. And I find it so motivating during that, believe it or not, hot yoga. The music is something that keeps me there.
Yeah. Is it traditional style music they're playing, or is it like hot yoga all over?
Yeah, it's been evolving. So that's making me wonder if they do use Fit Radio. I'm going to look into that, Russell. It's just,
they might. Yeah, you should ask them.
Yeah. Because when you have a little apprehension, even for a lot of people now, I find this apprehension going back to a gym or restarting or starting workout routines and fitness. And a lot of what I do is helping people get moving more. My job is I coach people, and a lot of people are still struggling with being too sedentary. And so this is why I was so excited to talk to you, because the music aspect is such a critical part of, finding something fun and enjoyable and just really embracing that in a new way. And, the world has to think creatively in these terms.
And I think for people trying to get into a routine, decision fatigue is real, right? So like, to make the decision on what type of exercise, what playlist I'm going to use. So it's not that we have to be there all the time, but like having a tool belt with all the necessary tools, whether it's, I have these 3 different types of modalities of exercise available. I have playlists available. It kind of reduces that decision fatigue so that you can just stay in routine.
Mm-hmm. And that decision fatigue is a real thing, but you just kind of cracked me up, that tool belt. One of my favorite books to read.
So how long, like when you were making your playlist for your run, like what was that process? Like what process did you go through for that playlist?
That's a great question, because I think about my pace, like how long I want to run and how to stay motivated, like peppy music. So I have to sit there and think on my own, like what is going to keep up that pace? And quite honestly, a song will come in that changes my pace.
Yep.
Because I have no idea about the BPMs and how to put songs together that keep that same cadence. Somehow, isn't that interesting?
Yep. Yeah. So we have an entire section. So what's your average pace per mile? Are you 8, 9? Okay.
No. I do. It's about right now in the heat. It was about 8. 8 minutes per.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 8, you're looking at about 160 beats per minute. I'll have to check my math on that. But like we have an entire channel of 8-minute mile mixes. So if you wanted to stay on pace at 8 minutes, you could play that station and you're basically matching the beat to your footfalls for the entire run. It's a very popular aspect. I would say like outside of fitness instructors, runners are like probably our second, like sort of most common user type, just because of what you just said is like going on a run, a song stops or the tempo changes. And there's just a different experience. When the beat of the music matches your footfalls in a run, it's just a different run altogether. So we recognize that. And it's a really popular aspect of our service. We also have a feature, it's pace matching, where if you wanted to find your pace, you could take off running, hit a button, and then we'll use the accelerometer in the phone. We'll match your footballs and we'll just play a mix that matches your pace, matches your stride.
I just want to say, are you kidding me?
No, I'm there.
That is.
Yeah, we'll set you up with a subscription after this so you can test it out for sure.
See how excited I said I was to.
Yeah.
Even now I'm even more excited because I am training. I'm trying to up my game and get my pace faster and all that. But I like to go out and have that same pace when I'm just, like most people just going out for your regular run.
So this is a good way to do it, right? Like let's say you wanted to get to 180, right? Which is, I think, about a 6.5-minute mile.
I'm old, so maybe not that, but 7.5. Yeah.
Wait, you could try 170. You got 175, right? So you could basically push yourself by upping the tempo because it's weird. Like if you normally run at 160, which is about an 8-minute mile, and you crank that up to 170, your body's going to want to match that pace. So it's a way to kind of push yourself outside your comfort zone. Even if you were like, hey, the last 2 minutes, I'm going to run at 170, you could sort of like change that playlist to like ramp up your pace throughout your run and just kind of push yourself outside your comfort zone.
That's a game changer. That's amazing. And wow. Okay. We'll leave it at that. So I do know that you get to work with some pretty fantastic DJs, kind of switching gears a little bit more to, what you do in your day to day to bring us these thousands of DJs and that. So who are some of the folks you work with, if you're able to tell us, and, a little bit more about the people behind the mixes?
Yeah, I have an incredible team of people. We're a startup company. Most of the people have been here since day one. So probably 10 years now. We've got a lot of good product people that help bring the product to life, meaning like new features, a lot of great like marketing people, sales people. But, I think that, one thing that really unites us is just kind of like our mission in general, which is making exercise more fun. It's not our mission to get good people behind. So, and we're very fortunate to have great people that have been here for a really long time, probably 90% female. They are incredible, so on point with everything that they do, from marketing to product design to PR to everything that, all the aspects of our business. Just a really great team. And I'm blessed for sure.
In some ways, I'm surprised that you just with this mostly female, I guess I assume there would be a mix, and a lot of DJs are male, aren't they?
Yeah. So a lot of our DJs probably skew more male, but like most of the admin, music department, like we just got back from the staff lunch today and I was the only male. But again, most of the DJs do skew heavily more on the male side, but most of the business stuff around here is run by women for sure.
Very, very cool. All right. So that tells us a little bit about your work culture. And I wanted to ask too, do you include, during your work day for your company, are people able to work out? Do you discuss this? Do you try things out?
Yeah. Working out is a core part of this place. Like one of our key people, Ellen, saw her at the gym this morning. I think for the most part, everybody here exercises. We all go to lunch together as a team. We have a very flexible work environment around fitness. Like some of our salespeople, I encourage them to get out, try new workouts. I bounce around myself to different concepts because music is very different across different types of fitness, like boxing versus Pilates, right? Like you have Pilates studios that have no music and you have Pilates studios that play deep house. So for us, from product to marketing to everything we do, it's important for us to experience as many types of concepts as we can.
I would think so. And one of my questions for you was wondering if you have a favorite exercise or fitness activity, and do you have a favorite music mix to go with it?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, like recently my routine has changed. I purchased it's a climber, like a full body climbing machine. It's made by Cascade Health and Wellness. So shout out to them. It's a wonderfully built machine. So I didn't know this. I've always wanted to have the most efficient workout as possible. And climbing is incredible at building strength and endurance during the same workout. So I do that every morning for about 30 minutes. And what's cool is a really good pace on the climber is about 125 to 135 beats per minute. So it works really well to like climb to the beat across a lot of our stations. So that's been my go-to lately. Obviously bounce around, but I think I listen to all different types of music. So I think when I'm lifting heavy, for me, it's probably rock and hip hop, which we do really well at. But when I'm doing cardio, I think for me, it's more of like, I like EDM. I like a little bit of pop music. I like to kind of keep my tempo. But yeah, it's funny you asked. I've been really into this climbing machine lately, and I thought it was going to be boring. And I get on there every morning and I'm like, I don't understand why there's not more group fitness based around this style of exercise. Because when you get off, like, you know how like if you've done a spin class, you get off and your legs are kind of like pumped and tired. When you get off a climber machine, your whole body feels like that. So it's super efficient, just for the time that I have.
Right. And you want to share that with others. Not to say misery loves company, but it kind of does.
Yeah. I've, obviously like I listen to Huberman and some of the other podcasts. So I do the cold exposure. I do this hot stuff and, it's almost a fad, but man, my life has changed. When I try to like do hard things in the morning to get that out of the way, it really changed. It changes my stress levels. It changes my outlook on the day. It's really been monumental for me. I can't imagine not taking a cold shower now. It sounds so weird, but the cold exposure stuff, which I'm sure you've done maybe some episodes on. Nope. No cold exposure stuff. Yeah.
Not yet. I think you just gave me the next.
It's a game. It's a game changer. That business, I think you see so much growth in like the cold tanks and what's happening there. I think it's going to be really common now. There's so much research, like peer-reviewed research that's hundreds, if not thousands of years old in some cases, because some of these like health modalities are that old. There's so much research. I think it'll be pretty common for people to have cold tubs in the next 5 years. Like it'll be like having a hot tub in the 80s. It's like I have a cold tub and I use it on a daily basis.
You're going to have to come up with some really good music to convince me to get into that.
It is the most daunting thing in the world to do. But once you do it and you feel that rush of endorphins after you get out, it's almost like a drug and then you want to do it again. And it doesn't really get easier. Like every morning I'm like, I don't want to do this, but then you just feel so good afterwards. It's kind of hard not to.
Well, so we do need to challenge our bodies. We do need extremes. I know that. I'm not going to speak so much to it. In that sense, it really is becoming more popular and makes a lot of sense. And back to using Fit Radio to push my own body, beyond where I would normally through music is such a cool aspect that we hadn't thought about. So I'm getting there. I now do the hot yoga and I do sauna and I feel the benefits of that too. And that's what keeps me going. So now the cold baths, and I do know that those cold Arctic plunges, that's the next thing. And yeah, thank you, Andrew Huberman, even though everybody knows about it. I would say when I say everybody in our world, right, Russell, like talk about this. And I know all these modalities and it isn't just a trend though, as you mentioned. So I'm happy to bring that up too, because when we talk about fitness and exercise, it isn't just about that activity. And at that moment, it's what you do before and after. That's why I also mentioned the warm up, the cool down, and what keeps you going back and doing it more and more. And how do you reach a place of better fitness and well-being as we age? So that's what I'm all about. And I keep doing this. So thank you. Like this is to me such a key. I said it a game changer, and it truly is a game changer because whatever we can do to keep challenging our bodies and keep moving is what we all need. And enjoy it. I mean, music is what unites people everywhere, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
I'll tell you. So for having not set foot in a gym since the pandemic, going to hot yoga was my new activity where I was actually out with people in public, right? Exercising with strangers. And we have these conversations based on the music. The instructor, I mean, it's really funny what comes out of it. So I'm so happy to share this with people. And I'm really thrilled that you're with me today talking about this and making people aware of it. Well, clearly, since the app is number one, many people know about it already, but we'll keep working on that. Russell, I wanted to keep it kind of short today, but I have one very important question to ask you, which is, what is one thing you are grateful for today?
I'm grateful for my health and my family for sure. I've lost both of my parents in the last few years to cancer, so that was tough, but I have a beautiful family. I'm healthy, and I'm glad that I'm able to celebrate that on a daily basis through exercise.
Thank you. And I'm grateful that you're helping people do that through music and exercise. And I'm right there with you. So this has really been not just a pleasure, but truly motivating for me. I appreciate you being here. And I want listeners to know, where can they find you? And of course, Fit Radio. Like, what do you want to leave listeners with?
Yeah. fitradio.com. Log on, check us out. There's a free trial where you can use the app for 30 minutes with no credit card, no commitment. So there's no barriers in the way for you to check it out. We'll ask you some questions about your music preference so we can deliver an awesome mix for your first workout. And take us for a spin and see what you think.
How about if you were a trainer and you run a studio? Do you have options for people who run their own gyms?
We do. It's the same option, but if you're a trainer and you onboard, you'll select, I'm using this for professional purposes. And if you select that, you'll have a slightly different array of content. It's more class focused. It's more instructor based. So you'll have a broader view of more of our instructor based content.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Russell. Again,
thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. Keep doing what you do. And I'm going to keep you posted on when I reach that 6.5 minute pace. Thanks to you.
Awesome. Please do. Yeah. And we'll send you a link to the app or to check out for your next run.
Excellent. Very much appreciated. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking time to join me and listen to this episode. You can find more information and subscribe to the Sense of Wellness podcast on our website at ccphd.net/send. This show is brought to you by Castle Connolly Private Health Partners, a concierge medicine organization that partners with and supports exceptional physicians to deliver an unrivaled experience of comprehensive, collaborative, and attentive care for a preventative approach on health and optimal well-being for members. Be sure to listen in next time to the Sense of Wellness podcast, and remember, simple daily habits matter most.